We shall listen to a story from the Katha Sarit Sagara. So, what is Katha Sarit Sagara? In Sanskrit, Katha means story. Sarit is a stream and Sagara is the ocean. So, simply put, Katha Sarit Sagara is the ocean of stories. The Katha Sarit Sagara was written by Somadeva sometime in the 11th century. Somadeva was the son of Rama and he was a poet in the court of King Ananta. Somadeva wrote the Katha Sarit Sagara for the amusement of Queen Suryavati, who was King Ananta's wife. Katha Sarit Sagara is written in the form of layers of stories, one within the other. One of the stories of the Katha Sarit Sagara is that of Manduka. Before continuing with the story, there are some words in Sanskrit that would be important. In Sanskrit, Manduka means a frog. Jivva is the tongue. Knowing this much, let us hear what happened to Manduka. There was a very well-read man in a village who was unfortunately ignored by all the people there. The well-read man was wise, but his jivva or tongue froze when anyone asked him anything. That was the reason that everyone in the village believed that the man was a dullard. One thing led to another, and this man got the name of Manduka. As Manduka grew older, he wanted to change this perception in his village. Manduka got his chance when a rich man conducted a very lavish wedding in the very same village that he lived in. Manduka was not invited for this marriage, and from outside the house, Manduka saw the horse on which the groom was supposed to ride. Then, in a sudden inspiration, Manduka led the horse far away from the wedding house. Manduka led the horse to a nearby forest and left the horse there near a pond. After that, Manduka went to his house and asked his wife to go to the marriage hall. Manduka asked his wife to direct the people in the wedding hall to him in case there was any trouble in the wedding. Yes, Manduka's wife found these instructions very odd, and no, she did not particularly think too much about it. But she went to the wedding. There, she saw that everyone was worried and they were searching for the missing horse. Manduka's wife suddenly remembered her husband's words and she asked the merchant to approach her husband. At first, the merchant was not willing to follow this advice. However, he was at his wit's end, and because of the shortage of time, he went to Manduka. Manduka easily guided the merchant to the pond where the horse could be found. Naturally, the merchant got his horse back and he lavishly paid Manduka. After this incident, people in the village respected Manduka and his fame spread far and wide in the kingdom. Now, to the next part of the story. The king of the land came to know about the man who found lost things. The king of the kingdom had heard of Manduka's fame, and the king invited Manduka to his palace. The king naturally had troubles of his own. The queen's jewels were missing, and the king did not know where to find them. As a sub-story, the jewels were stolen by Jiva, who was a palace maid. Naturally, no one knew that. The king was determined to find the jewels, and having heard so much about Manduka, the king insisted that Manduka could not leave the palace unless he found the jewels. Manduka paced the room that he had been given in the palace, and he did not know what to do. On the other hand, Jiva, the palace maid, having heard of Manduka's reputation to find lost items, kept Manduka under constant watch. Unaware of this, Manduka cursed himself because he realized that he had been silly in hiding the merchant's horse and then pretending to find it. That was the reason for his present predicament. Manduka came to the sad realization that his words had landed him in trouble. Jivva, you are doomed! Manduka cursed himself, or rather his tongue. You brought this on yourself. Jiva, the palace maid, was naturally terrified when she heard this. She ran to Manduka and returned the jewels, and she begged Manduka to ask the king to be lenient and not punish her for her evil deeds. End result? Manduka became even more richer in the kingdom. Better yet, by the end of all this, Manduka had been appointed as the royal astrologer in the court of the king. Manduka's troubles, however, did not end. A very learned man came from a neighboring kingdom. He came to the king's court. This learned man wanted to test Manduka's skill. The learned man bought a closed jar and kept it in the middle of the court. I've been to many pilgrimage places and I've found something that I've put inside this jar. The learned man turned to Manduka. Do you know what is inside it? Manduka was stumped. No amount of staring helped him. Besides, the entire court was watching. Finally, the recently appointed court astrologer desperately yelled to himself, "Your game is up, Manduka! It is over now!" There was a shocked silence in the court. The learned man was stunned beyond belief, because out jumped a frog from the closed jar. The learned man left the place, and he had learnt his lesson. The king was thrilled and gave Manduka even more money. Needless to say, no one doubted Manduka's talent anymore. But his name still stuck. I hope you enjoyed the story.